What do you think of when you see this image? It's a stunning photo, despite it obviously being taken decades ago. The picture shows the East Ridge near the summit of Chogalisa II, a mountain located in the Karakoram Range within the Gilgit-Baltistan region of Pakistan. The man who took the photo, Kurt Diemberger, is alive and well today. In fact, he is quite famous within the mountaineering community, being the only living person who has made the first ascents on two mountains over 8,000 meters. Weeks before this photo was taken, Diemberger, along with his climbing partner Ermin Bull, also an accomplished mountaineer, completed the first successful ascent of Broad Peak, one of the 8,000-meter peaks also located in the Karakoram Range. With this victory behind them, the two set out to climb Chogalisa II, a mountain that had never been summited by the time the two began their ascent in 1957. While Chogalisa II is not considered a particularly difficult climb, especially for those with experience like Diemberger and Boll, the conditions the two would face on the mountain proved deadly. On June 25th, the two left Camp 1 and ascended to 6,706 meters, before making camp again on the southeast ridge. On June 27th, during a potential push for the summit, a sudden snowstorm forced them to retreat only around 2,000 feet from the summit. Being forced to descend, Diemberger and Bull likely could have waited out the storm before making another attempt the following day. However, Bull would never summit the mountain, nor would he ever make his way off of it. During the fateful descent, Bull and Diemberger walked side by side. Unfortunately, due to the bad conditions, Bull was unaware he had stepped onto a cornice, an overhanging mass of hardened snow at the edge of a mountain precipice. With his full weight on this mass of snow, it gave way, and Bull fell into the mountain's near vertical north face. Bull's body was never recovered, and to this day he remains trapped in Chogalisa's ice. The subsequent picture that Diemberger took shows the path the two took on their descent, and Bull's final moments on the ridge are clearly visible, a fatal misstep that is immortalized in this photo. Upon seeing this image for the first time, I assumed the marks in the snow were animal prints, but upon closer look, they are clearly human footsteps. Footsteps that enter a pond and never come back out. The footsteps belong to 4-year-old Naomi Delgado, a young girl who, while the rest of her family watched a soccer practice at Loveland Sports Park in Colorado, wandered off and began playing at a playground in the same development. At one point, her father noticed that she was missing and went to look for her. In what was undoubtedly a horrifying moment, her father found her in the frigid pond. He quickly pulled his daughter from the waters and called 911. Sadly, Naomi Delgado was declared dead at the hospital. Officials state that her cause of death was asphyxia by drowning, likely exacerbated by the hypothermia the toddler was experiencing at the same time. With this context, the photo becomes gut-wrenching. You can even see the moments that the young girl stopped to play in the snow before continuing towards the pond. Truly an awful situation, and even though this occurred back in January of 2015, my thoughts are with Naomi's family. This relatively unremarkable photo depicts a lightly forested area in a hilly region, but nothing out of the ordinary. The photo itself was taken by 18-year-old Dalen Pua, a high school senior from the island of Hawaii, visiting the island of Oahu to see his grandmother. Pua's grandmother described the teen as an adventurous person, which explains why he took this photo during his hike up the Haiku Stairs. The Haiku Stairs are a steep, steel step structure that provided pedestrian access to former U.S. Navy communication facilities on the island of Oahu. The hike itself is in disrepair and is quite dangerous. Due to this, it is currently in the process of being dismantled. However, this hasn't stopped it from being used as a hiking trail. Many attempt the hike as it offers stunning views of Oahu. Determined to make it to the top, hikers sometimes go the back way, through a trail in the Mauna Valley, and up the mountain from the other side. Considered even more treacherous than the stairs, and is likely the path Pua took. Pua left on the morning of Thursday, February 26th at about 6 a.m. and caught a bus to the trail. He texted photos to his family and friends a few hours later, but when he did not return, he was reported missing the following day. A search began and continued for 4 days with very little luck. It wasn't until a few days later, when the family was studying the last photos taken by Pua, that they spotted a mysterious figure in the background. In the lower section of the photo, a man's head can be seen above a branch of a tree, while the rest of his body is crouched down behind the leaves. The family and police asked for the public's assistance in finding the person, but to this day he has never been identified. After nearly 2 more months of searching with no sign of Pua, the volunteer groups ended their search in early April. Is it possible that Pua simply slipped and fell on a notoriously dangerous trail, never to be seen again? Absolutely. But who was the man hidden in this photograph? If he had nothing to do with Pua's disappearance, why has he never come forward? Is it possible that this man attacked Pua and hid his body afterwards? There seems to be far more questions than answers in Pua's disappearance, and without his body, we can only hope that the man in the photo is identified, and if there is justice to be served, Pua's family can hopefully have that closure. Without context, this photo simply seems like a nice family welcoming a new son or daughter into the world. With context, however, it becomes far more sinister. In 1985, using the alias John Osborne, John Edwards Robinson met a 19-year-old named Lisa Stacy and her 4-month-old daughter, Tiffany Stacy, at a shelter for homeless women in Kansas City, known as Hope House. Robinson approached Stacy, presenting her with an opportunity to join the Kansas City Outreach Program as a way to receive free room and board while studying for her GED. Not only this, but Robinson promised Stacy a job and a stable living situation in Chicago. In January 1985, Lisa and her daughter, Tiffany, checked into room 131 at the Roadway Inn in Overland Park. Lisa even told her relatives that Mr. Osborne arranged and paid for their new accommodations. On January 10th, Robinson arrived at Lisa's sister-in-law's house, where Lisa and Tiffany entered his vehicle and were supposed to return to the motel. Only a few days later, Robinson contacted his brother and sister-in-law, who had been looking to adopt, but had found very little luck. Robinson stated that he knew of a baby whose mother had committed suicide and was now available. For $5,500 in legal fees, the couple received Lisa's daughter, Tiffany, and Robinson even provided a set of authentic appearing adoption papers with the forged signatures of 2 lawyers and a judge. Tiffany's mother was never heard from again. In 2002, Robinson stood trial in Kansas for the murders of Stacy, as well as 2 other women along with multiple lesser charges. After the longest criminal trial in Kansas history, he was convicted on all counts. Robinson ultimately received the death penalty and life imprisonment. Tiffany, now Heather Robinson, believed she had been adopted as an infant and grew up knowing only her loving family. But in the year 2000, the then 15-year-old learned that the man she knew as her uncle, John Robinson, was accused of murdering multiple women in the Kansas City area, including her biological mother. With this context, the happy smile on Robinson's face and the pale, frightened face of Tiffany becomes a far more distressing image. Of all of these photos, this may be the most recognizable. The photo shows a young boy, Devonte Hart, and Police Sergeant Brett Barnum hugging during a 2014 protest in Portland after a Missouri grand jury declined to indict a Ferguson police officer in the fatal shooting of Michael Brown. The photographer, Johnny Nguyen, told the Oregonian newspaper that he felt the photo resonated with so many because it showed humanity, hope, and positivity. Devante was part of a family who called themselves the Heart Tribe, a family of 2 women and their 6 adopted children who raised their own food and took spontaneous road trips, but most importantly, believed in promoting unity. However, on March 26, 2018, all 8 were killed after their SUV plunged off a 100-foot cliff along a California highway. While many believed at the time that it was merely a terrible accident, the truth was soon revealed. The bodies of 5 of the children, Hannah, Marcus, Jeremiah, Abigail, and Sierra, were found in or near the vehicle, but not Devante's. Toxicology results showed that Jennifer's blood alcohol content was over the legal limit at the time of the crash, and that both Sarah and 2 of the children had diphenhydramine, likely in the form of Benadryl, in their systems. It was later revealed that Sarah had made Google searches before the crash, inquiring about the lethality of Benadryl and the nature of death by drowning. According to an incident report following the murders, it was reported that Sarah told a coworker that she wished someone told her it was okay not to have a big family. Then she and Jennifer would not have adopted the children. A 14-member coroner's jury unanimously ruled the case a murder-suicide. To this day, the body of Devante Hart has never been found, but hopefully, somewhere, he has been reunited with his brothers and sisters.